Yeshua bar Yosef healed the sick, restored sight to the blind, and performed other miracles. He also taught that people should develop their own relationship with God, independent of religious leaders. His name's pronunciation changed over time until it evolved into the pronunciation we use today, Jesus. People are revisiting Yeshua's teachings with the realization that he was not a God who insisted that people worship him. Instead, he revealed messages that will make a difference for humanity if we hear and learn from them. In this series of videos, I present his teachings as written in the Gospel of Thomas, which have been borne out by what we're learning today from communication with people in the afterlife about the nature of this life and the next. Hello, I'm Dr. R. Craig Hogan, President of the Afterlife Research and Education Institute and Seek Reality Online. I'm the author of 8 books with the evidence you will come to the end of this life, but you will never die. The Gospel of Thomas, found at Nag Hammadi in Egypt and likely written in the late 1st or early 2nd century, is considered the most significant ancient text from the site. It presents a collection of 114 sayings spoken by Yeshua. It contains no miracles, no Christmas story, and most notably not a word about his being a God who was crucified and resurrected. Instead, Yeshua reveals the profound truth that within each of us is the divine light that is our true nature when all the earth realm facades are stripped away. As long as we do not realize this divine nature, we remain trapped in the material world that seduces us into ignorant beliefs about life and the afterlife. In this series of videos, I explain the meanings of the sayings with a 21st century understanding of the nature of reality, the life after this life, and our spiritual nature. Explanations of sayings 21 through 30 from the Gospel of Thomas are in this video. Links to the videos with the other 104 teachings are in the descriptions below. This is saying 21.
Mary said to Yeshua, "Who are your disciples like?" He said, "They are like children who have settled in a field which is not theirs. When the owners of the field come, they will say, 'Let us have back our field.' They will undress in their presence to let them have back their field and to give it back to them. Therefore I say, if the owner of a house knows that the thief is coming, he will begin his vigil before he comes and will not let him dig through into his house or his domain to carry away his goods. You then be on your guard against the world. Arm yourselves with great strength, lest the robbers find a way to come to you, for the difficulty which you expect will surely materialize. Let there be among you a man of understanding. When the grain ripened, he came quickly with his sickle in his hand and reaped it. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear."
The sayings begin with words from Mary, most likely Mary of Magdala, who's depicted as Yeshua's close associate in the Gnostic writings. In the Gnostic Gospel of Philip, Yeshua is reported to have kissed Mary on the mouth often and loved her more than the disciples. Yeshua is saying the disciples are like children who have settled in a field that is not theirs. The field is a reference to the material world. The disciples are in the material world, but not of the material world. The people who are materialists, believing there is nothing to this world except what our 5 senses reveal to us, have ownership, in today's predominant view, of this material world. They tell these followers of Yeshua that the disciples' claim that there is more to life than just the material world is invalid. They rebuke the disciples for staking claims on truth in the material realm. In response, the followers of Yeshua are to abandon everything about the physical world. They are to strip off their clothing, symbolizing leaving everything in the material world behind, including the materialist notion that they were reared to believe that there is nothing to existence than this material world. They are to relinquish this world to the materialists. Their world is the realm of our universal intelligence, far greater and more relevant to humanity than the material world. Yeshua then expands on that notion with a second parable. If someone knows a thief is going to break into their house and steal everything, they guard against the thief. They will arm themselves with great strength. This passage is saying these materialists will try to steal away the disciples' confidence in Yeshua's teachings and the certainty there is life after this life. We see that in the patronizing responses to our attempts to explain the realities of this life and the next to materialists today. But we guard against these challenges by being armed with the truth and not being discouraged by the onslaughts from the materialists. The saying ends with a conclusion to the two parables. Undeterred by the materialists who berate us when we assert the truth about this life and the next, we harvest the ripened truth. We store away the harvest of this knowledge as unshakable conclusions, thwarting their efforts to steal away or diminish what we know to be true.
Yeshua saw infants being suckled. He said to his disciples, "These infants being suckled are like those who enter the kingdom." They said to him, "Shall we then, as children, enter the kingdom?" Yeshua said to them, "When you make the two one, and when you make the inside like the outside, and the outside like the inside, and the above like the below, and when you make the male and the female one and the same, so that the male not be male nor the female, and when you fashion eyes in the place of an eye, and a hand in place of a hand, and a foot in place of a foot, and a likeness in place of a likeness, then will you enter the kingdom."
The metaphor of becoming like little children appears in the canonical Gospels. Matthew reports, "Truly, I tell you, unless you change and become like little children, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven." And in Mark, Yeshua is reported to have said, "Truly, I tell you, anyone who does not receive the kingdom of God like a little child will never enter it." The kingdom of heaven, Yeshua tells his disciples, comes naturally into our state of being as adults when we become open and accepting, like little children, who have not yet become jaded by the physical realm. The infant at first sees itself as one with the mother. Gradually, through 6 to 9 months of age, infants differentiate their experiences from the mother. Children grow further into their feeling of separation from others as they're taught by the world that we are separate and private. Finally, adults have firmly positioned themselves as radically separated in mind and emotions from all others. It is a separation that theoretical physicist David Bohm identified as the primary source of global disorder. Yeshua is saying we must return to the openness and love the infant and little child have for their mother. He follows the assertion by saying, to enter the kingdom, the disciples must make the two one, the inside like the outside, and the above like the below, and must make male and female one. He's saying we enter the kingdom of heaven by discarding all the notions of separateness we learned from the physical realm. We learn from childhood that two people are separate. The inside is different from the outside, and above is separate from the below, and males are separate from females. These extreme examples focus on the notion of separateness. Yeshua says we must grow to reject such separateness. When we see ourselves as one with all others, we experience the change of heart and mind, the metanoia, that comes from the gnosis, or knowledge of who we are in eternity. The understanding that we are more than brothers and sisters, we are one being, will result in our living together in love, peace, and joy. To enter the kingdom of love, peace, and joy with all others, we must abandon the discordant notions of separateness we were taught by the physical realm, and embrace the sense of oneness the infant has. We can gauge our progress in integrating love and compassion for others into our nature by seeing how much empathy and care we have for everyone, regardless of who they are. As we see the growth of deep felt sensitivity to people for whom we formerly mistrusted, felt animosity towards, or were prejudiced against, we understand how much these loving and understanding qualities are becoming part of our nature. Taking stock of how we feel about all classes of people and individuals and comparing that to how we felt about them in the past gives us the sense of our progress in entering the kingdom of heaven as Yeshua described it.
I shall choose you 1 out of 1,000 and 2 out of 10,000, and they shall stand as a single one.
Yeshua is saying that while many will hear his message, only a very few will realize and know absolutely that they are already a part of the one. There is only one of us. We're in that period of history now. People are just now waking up to the realities of this life and the next. But it is like 2 out of 10,000 or 20 out of 100,000. In the future, these numbers will increase geometrically as society comes to understand and accept what Yeshua is teaching, just as nearly all people did not understand the earth is not the center of the universe in 1543, when Copernicus asserted that the earth is not the center of the universe. Instead, he said the earth is part of a solar system with the sun at its center. People didn't believe him. Galileo echoed the sentiment in 1632. People didn't believe him. At those times, these truths were accepted by very few, probably fewer than 1 out of several 100,000 or even 1 million. It wasn't until 1822 that the Pope removed the prohibition on asserting that the earth moved in accordance with astronomical laws. In the same way, Yeshua is saying, I am giving you this message to you. You will be 1, 2, or more out of thousands, tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands who will understand and accept these truths. And when you accept this knowledge, you will stand as a single one.
His disciples said to him, Show us the place where you are, since it is necessary for us to seek it. He said to them, Whoever has ears, let him hear. There is light within a man of light, and he lights up the whole world. If he does not shine, he is darkness.
The concept of a person bearing a spark of light that determines the person's nature is common in Gnostic teaching. The light is the gnosis, or knowledge, that we are eternal beings having a physical experience. The disciples are the men of light. Their understanding of our eternal nature lights up the whole world when the disciples help others know the light within them through the gnosis, or knowledge about themselves and the world. If people do not realize our eternal nature, they are in darkness. They do not have the gnosis, or knowledge that would be the light within them. They have only darkness.
Yeshua said, Love your brother like your soul, guard him like the pupil of your eye.
Yeshua is saying to love the souls of others on earth as we would the soul of our own image in a mirror before us. The brother or sister whom we meet in this world is the mirror image of ourselves. This radical view that we are all one is underappreciated. We naturally care about our health and our well-being. When we adopt the attitude that all others are one with us, we share the same concern for other people's health and well-being, and are equally fervent in satisfying their needs. When someone we meet is hungry and thirsty, we take on the hunger and thirst as our own. We find food and drink to give to that person, as we would find food and drink to satisfy our own hunger and thirst. What a remarkable, loving world we would live in if all people felt others' needs as strongly as they do their own, and satisfied others' needs as naturally as they satisfy their own.
Yeshua said, You see the mote in your brother's eye, but you do not see the beam in your own eye. When you cast the beam out of your own eye, then you will see clearly to cast the mote from your brother's eye.
We see others' failings more readily than we see our own. Yeshua is saying that when we see even a small failing, as small as a particle of dust in another's actions, and criticize the person for it, we must realize that there are whole planks of failings in our own eyes, in our own lives. Yeshua's message is that life is messy. We are all doing things that offend others without realizing it, but we see starkly every offense that affects us. Yeshua is saying we must not focus on another's failings when we have myriad failings in our own lives. Instead, we must allow others' failings to pass without being offended, just as we ignore or are not aware of our own failings. Failings are natural parts of life in the physical realm. Taking offense is a learned behavior. We learn that if someone says we look fat, they're demeaning us. The offense is not embodied in the statement. We might think we look fat to ourselves and not be offended, and we might accept the statement without offense when it comes from someone who loves us and cares about our well-being. The sentiment of being offended arises from learning that others will demean us through comments about our physical appearance. We learn to take offense. Yeshua is saying we must not be offended by these triggering statements. When we do not take offense, we maintain a loving relationship without believing that others dislike us or are separate from us. When everyone stops taking offense, the sentiment of being offended will be eradicated.
Yeshua said, if you do not fast as regards the world, you will not find the kingdom. If you do not observe the Sabbath as a Sabbath, you will not see the Father.
Yeshua is saying that we must withdraw from the world to find the inner peace that is our true nature as children of our universal intelligence. Wordsworth wrote, "The world is too much with us, late and soon, getting and spending, we lay waste our powers. Little we see in nature that is ours. We have given our hearts away." We give our hearts away when we are preoccupied with the affairs of the physical realm. We must be in the world but not of it. When we withdraw from all that is burdening us in this life, we find our true nature as eternal beings having a physical experience without care or worry. The Sabbath was a day of rest during which the Jews would withdraw from the daily routines of life on earth. When we grow in the same way to withdraw from earth, to have little in the physical realm that perturbs our spirit, we enjoy the contentment and happiness that is the kingdom of heaven within us.
Yeshua said, I took my place in the midst of the world, and I appeared to them in flesh. I found all of them intoxicated. I found none of them thirsty. And my soul became afflicted for the sons of men, because they are blind in their hearts and do not have sight. For empty they came into the world, and empty too they seek to leave the world. But for the moment they are intoxicated. When they shake off their wine, then they will repent.
Yeshua is saying that he found people intoxicated, meaning their perceptions are distorted by their preoccupation with affairs of the world. They're satiated, so they cannot listen to and accept what he has to teach them about this life. He feels a burden for humanity that is suffering needlessly because people are blind in their hearts from ignorance about who we are in eternity. People do not realize the truth that we are one with our universal intelligence and one with each other. They are intoxicated by this ignorance. Most will go through their entire lives without sobering up to learn how to live in love, peace, and joy within themselves and with others. When we shake off this intoxication with the falsehoods about this life and the next, we enter the kingdom of heaven within through our gnosis, or knowledge that we are eternal beings having a physical experience.
Yeshua said, if the flesh came into being because of spirit, it is a wonder. But if spirit came into being because of the body, it is a wonder of wonders. Indeed, I am amazed at how this great wealth has made its home in this poverty.
The flesh Yeshua refers to is experiences in the earth realm. There is nothing but our mind and the experiences we have in our mind. The world we experience is brought to us by our universal intelligence. There is no world outside of our mind and experiences. The experiences of this world came into being when we experienced them. The Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics tells us that the world doesn't collapse into existence until someone observes it. Idealists extend that understanding by saying there is nothing but our universal intelligence and the experiences we have in our minds, which we perceive as matter and energy. There is no matter and energy outside of us, embodied in flesh, that is an accident in time, living on a rock, spinning mindlessly through space. This great wealth of knowledge about our eternal nature makes its home within a world that is impoverished in its understanding of who we are in eternity. When we who are using bodies, realizing we are not the bodies, but are eternal beings in a world of mind experiences given to us by our universal intelligence, we leave the poverty of materialist views of the world and enjoy the wealth of realizing we are eternal beings, having a physical experience.
Yeshua said, "Where there are 3 gods, they are gods. Where there are 2 or 1, I am with him."
Yeshua is saying that there are many notions of gods. The estimate is that today there are around 4,200 world religions, each with its own set of gods. They are all gods in the narrow views of the religions. But whether there is 1, 2, or 3 gods, Yeshua's teachings apply to them all equally. What the religions call God makes no difference to the truth that we all, along with Yeshua, are parts of our universal intelligence, the ground of all being. These teachings by Yeshua Bar Yosef have been lost in today's Christian church that bases its doctrines on narrow interpretations of the 4 canonical Gospels. The Nag Hammadi Gnostic documents teach us clearly that Christians may communicate directly with the divine without the intervening control of a church. Yeshua's message was to show humanity the way that would lead to enjoying lives filled with love, peace, and joy. We're just now realizing this wonderful message in the Gnostic writings that has been lost for 2,000 years.